Just have a couple of things. I'm still Cody. We'll be with everyone in just a moment here. We're downtown here at the World Trade Center. And of course I have with me Ole Dammegard. And we're going to be adding Cody Snodgres very soon. Okay, we're just about there, Ole. Sorry. There was the subway was not stopping at the usual stops, so it took me longer than expected to get here. Let me see if we can add Cody. Apologize to our viewers. Okay, we've got Cody coming in. We've got Ole there.
I'm watching the YouTube. It says it's waiting for you. It's not live yet.
Well, it should be live in a moment. Is it still saying that it's not live?
Yeah, it says waiting for you.
That's very bad. It should be live right now.
Well, it is, I think.
Let's see. Let me see what we can do about that. I don't see Cody answering either, so these remote Skype sessions are always rather tricky to set up. And I don't know if people can see this. I see that we're live and there's 88 people watching.
Yep.
We're here in the line outside. Yes, I've okay. So, no, oh, wait a minute. I think, okay, we're hearing my phone. All right. So, Ole, hello, sir. You are Cody joining us. Let me see if I can add him in here. Hey, Cody, how are you? Cody.
Hey, I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm well. I think we've lost Ole. Let me try and add him in. Whoops. So let's see if we can get Ole back. It's a little tricky today, waiting in line to get into the World Trade Center here in Lower Manhattan, of course, on September 11th, 2018. Hopefully we can get Ole back. Ole, are you with us?
I am.
Okay.
Cody.
Hey, brother. How you doing?
We don't have video on you, Ole. There we go.
Yes.
Wonderful. Great to see both of you. And let me make sure that I can get you guys on camera. There we go. Okay, so we should have you guys back here. Let's just add that. Okay. And there we go. Okay, so now I believe we've got everyone. Welcome, gentlemen. Lovely to have you both. And
thank you.
I had hoped to be inside already. You guys can both hear me all right, correct?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
your
it's
signal's 5 by 5.
Wonderful. So, sorry for the delay in beginning. It is always tricky to start these remote broadcasts, but we're here. We're going to be heading inside, and just want to switch this up so people can see me. Whoop. Okay. And then there we go. That's what I was looking to do. All right, gentlemen. So you guys should be seeing what I'm seeing, which is basically the area here around the World Trade Center. Let me see if I can flip my camera around here. So, gentlemen, we had a really interesting conversation yesterday. Many topics came up. I did get a chance to look at that September Clue documentary that you spoke about, and while I do think it raised some interesting points, I think it made some assumptions and drew conclusions from video footage that could possibly be affected by a number of things, compression and file copying and a variety of things. So we're going to continue to look at that. Why don't you guys, go into a little bit, how are you feeling today? This is obviously a day that most people don't really care to remember, but it's important that we do, of course. Ole, what have you got to say to us today on the 17th anniversary of September 11th?
I have this feeling. I've been to these these locations where people have been sacrificed in different ways, and for me, it gets really emotional sometimes. I remember one time I was at the island of Utøya in Norway. It was exactly like this at the anniversary of the mass shooting there on this island, where more than 60 young kids died, and it was this exact same time of day. The weather was the same, everything was the same. I was just a few hundred yards from the island, and I stuck my hand down in the water, and when I did that, it just felt like I could feel these dead souls crying out for help, to please solve this trauma, heal this thing for us who left the earth, but also for our families. And so please solve the mystery and get it healed. So for me, it's like very emotional at the same time, because when you see these horrific events that are being used there just to control us and to push us according to the agenda of a few very great individuals, I think it's absolutely horrific what the suffering that it has caused. So for me, this is a sad day, very sad day.
And I think most of our viewers know, Ole, you're not particularly a fan of Mr. Trump. Are you surprised that, despite being very vocal about 9/11, even going back to the day it occurred, Donald Trump has not opened an investigation of any kind into the attacks of 9/11. Why do you suppose that is?
I'm not into politics. I'm into solving problems.
Okay.
I think if a president said he is.
Sorry, hang on, guys. Revolving doors to get in?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thanks. So we're going to buy tickets right now to try to get into the observation deck here. So we've got a lot of tourists have never
Hey, John.
revolving doors before. Yes.
On my screen, all I'm seeing is Ole's ugly mug right now.
You should be able to change around some of the settings in
No, I'm
Skype.
not seeing anything else but Ole. So we got to have some fun on a sad day like this.
Sure.
Yeah.
So let me show everybody the interior here.
I would get a mug printed for you, Cody, and send it to you.
Hi, remember me from yesterday?
Yes.
I'm back.
Need another ticket?
Yes, please. So, sorry, Cody. You may not be aware that Ole and I sort of did a little location scout here yesterday. So this is my second time. I won't show you on camera.
Good.
But we're here. This is the lobby. Can you guys see this?
All I'm seeing is Ole's face right now on the screen.
I know. I can always.
There you go.
I enjoy
Just
it.
wanted regular, right?
Just a regular one, yeah. I think, Cody, if you mess around with the inset of me and Ole, you should be able to achieve a
Head downstairs.
view of what I'm seeing. So I'm just getting the ticket purchased here. This is going to be a bit tricky because we're now going to go through security and whatnot with this.
Yeah, you can't film security.
I'm not going to film security. I will totally.
I already know they ain't gonna let you
Sorry?
do all of that.
What? This is just video equipment.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
They probably might hold it for you though.
Hold it for me. I'm not allowed to film upstairs. Well, this will be a major disappointment if we're not allowed to. So they've specifically said I'm disallowed from filming security. So let's make sure I don't do that. And we'll just get you guys on screen so that we won't film any of the security procedure. Why don't you guys take over and give us a little background information while I try to enter here and not upset the security people.
Thank you, Cody. Yesterday, Jason and I went up to the top, and the speed of the elevator was just unreal. It took like 10-15 seconds in total, I think. And it was just amazing to be up there. So I think we're in for quite an experience today. Did you ever go to the old World Trade Center?
No, I've been to the old one.
So I'm going to try to enter right now. Hopefully they won't be as priority access. I've got regular. Keep talking, guys. Hi.
You have to turn.
It's off. It's not
Well-
recording. This is just a Skype call. These guys are in an international location. We're going to go up to the observation deck and show them the city. Is that okay?
Can you bring that rig up like that? Or?
I still, all I've got is Ole's
Myself,
face
it's
still,
just,
so I don't know how to split screen.
What's that?
They're not going to allow you upstairs to do that.
Why not? I'm just video recording.
Yeah, but they don't allow certain equipment upstairs?
Cell phones.
This is not.
I like
Audio
the shirt,
mixer.
though. That's nice.
Let me
How
try
much
it.
you
See
want
what they
for
say.
it?
Do me a favor?
Not selling.
Okay, we're waiting to see if I'll even be allowed in. I came yesterday with this equipment and they didn't say anything. It's just cell phones. I'm just recording out the window.
I understand they don't allow, first they don't allow this device.
Why? What is this device that they don't allow?
They don't allow professional equipment.
It's not. This is a stabilizer. This isn't professional.
Unfortunately, we don't allow it upstairs. That's the license.
Can I see the rule that says that this isn't allowed?
Right back here.
Can't even read that. What does it
I
say?
didn't print the ticket, sir. I'm just telling you what the
Yeah, but
rules
they
are.
didn't tell me this before I paid for it.
I apologize. Like I said, you could go, feel free to go up. You could take your iPhones individually. You can't take the stabilizer and you can't take whatever that.
Where on here does it take a stabilizer?
Line 17.
Can you leave it there?
I won't be able to use it without that. Line 17? I don't see that.
Why don't you go over to guest services up there?
Do you guys have business cards?
Do not. Why don't you come over here? Come on.
That's my name.
Where on line 17 does it say that, Anthony?
It says no professional photographic equipment allowed upstairs.
This is not professional photographic equipment.
Like I
This
said,
is an
you can go to guest
amateur
services.
device.
If
It's
you
made
like,
of
you can get a
plastic.
refund for your ticket and you don't have to.
Okay, so,
Well, Cody.
I mean, that's really crazy. I mean, this is a wasted stream. I'm not going to sit here and talk to guest services. Let's go outside. We'll go to the memorial. I'm going to get my money back for this later. That's really disappointing. People are experiencing what these authoritarian types, you know, any opportunity to be a jerk, they'll take it. That's a disappointment.
But
yeah.
try and can you leave the stabilizer and just bring your cell phone and let's do it without it.
We cannot. The way this whole setup works, it's got to be put together or it's just not going to work, unfortunately. They didn't tell me that yesterday. That's extraordinarily disappointing.
Well, I wouldn't give up so easy.
Well, what we can do is either go outside and try and record some stuff outside or have a long conversation on camera with a bunch of people that are probably going to say exactly what those guys just said.
I say have a long conversation and let's get up there.
Okay. I'll go back down. It's going to be the type of conversation that a lot of people aren't going to probably want to hear me have, but I'll do it for you, Ole. Why don't you guys
try another guard?
Yeah, why don't you
Is
guys
there-
talk 9/11 and I'll mute my mic and try and negotiate this.
Okay.
I was just here. I'm going to ask the... Take it away, fellas.
Okay. Okay, thanks. Hey, this is a great opportunity. You know, I want to ask your opinion about something. I did 4 interviews yesterday. I've done 2 already this morning. And one of the guys brought up a point. You know how we're always talking about the next false flag, you know, and what it may be. Some people have said dirty bomb, or a nuke, or some type of virus, or an ATM attack, you know, in the financial sector. But what this guy brought up yesterday, and I wanted your opinion, was they were talking about the next false flag being a weather modification event. In other words, these hurricanes that are approaching the east coast of the United States right now, what would happen if we're all looking for an event, okay? What and have you found any clues that it might be a weather event? Like they have through the HARP transmitter and various types of geoengineering and weather modification, they have the ability to create storms now. And I wonder if the next false flag event could be some type of like a hurricane followed by an earthquake, or a hurricane followed by another hurricane, and that would cause the chaos, fear. But it would give the deep state and the New World Order elites a way to lay it off on natural phenomenon to thwart investigation. The reason they brought this up is there was all of the censorship that's been going on for the last 2 or 3 months, very, very strong. And they were saying, could this censorship be a prelude to another big event? And they're trying to shut down all the opposition. Could it be a weather anomaly?
I have no idea. I don't like speculating. I only try to stick to whatever I find. I mean, these forces are there. I mean, they're capable of doing whatever. So, but I haven't seen anything. I just want to point out that there is a nationwide emergency alert on September the 20th in the US, where what that is going to involve or include, I'm not totally sure. But I tell you this, Cody, it's looked like we're going down so many times. It looks like the final day is here and game over so many times. And it's looked scary so many times. And it's looked desperate so many times. We're still here. I mean, now they are in a week, they're going to make a decision if they're going to shut down the internet once again, you know, and they commercialize and what. It's like, I don't know. It's coming from all different directions. So I just focus on keeping the balance, not speculating, not get into fear mode, and say, bring it on. I mean, we are billions, we stand, and we're so the whole thing. So whatever you want to do it, and then see if it works. If not, we're still here, and then you can just give it up because we're.
Yeah. Well, we did some shows over the last couple of days, you know, and we've sent our heartfelt condolences. You know, there's a lot of firefighters and police officers and other people besides the victims of 9/11, you know, that are sick and they've got asbestos in their lungs and stuff like that. We were just sending our condolences out to those people and their children. Because some of them were children when this thing happened, and now they've grown up 17 years later with these memories, and it's like a psychic scar. It's like a big psyops full of fear, and it struck really deep in the hearts of people, children, and they're carrying that fear forward now. But we can't allow that kind of consume us or take us over. You know, we have to hold the light and keep looking for the truth. And hopefully someone will come forward in the future like me that blew the whistle on the Oklahoma City bombing. Someone that was in the buildings putting the nanothermite or the charges or whatever, however they were wired up. They'll come forward in the future. And maybe they'll cut a deal with the U.S. attorney and get immunity, to testify against the other conspirators, because this wasn't done alone by one guy. Tim McVeigh. This had to be a big operation, and so we're hoping that in the future some people will step forward.
Okay, so let's explain to everybody why
I'm not going to explain
why we're not allowed to go up there.
But you can come back another day. You can use your ticket. We can.
I don't want to do that. I want to know why I'm not allowed up there with a cell phone.
You have a whole apparatus.
I have 3 cell phones, something to hold them.
They govern the space upstairs. You can film me all you like. I'm glad you're doing that. You're not going up with that.
Okay, so why was it again that I'm not allowed up there?
That's why.
There you go. Take a picture of the equipment.
That's why, sir.
But all this equipment is not allowed, and you have to have permission ahead of time because we're a private organization. And if you're doing
so anybody goes up there with a cell phone and does a live stream.
You're doing a live stream.
Anybody is not allowed to do that? Okay,
well,
you've just taken my ticket from me.
They have permission to do it.
You've taken my ticket
We can give this back to you. We can give this to you for another day.
I don't want it for another day. I want it for today.
You can't go up. Well, you can leave this down here.
Yeah,
but
thanks.
you can go up with the
Okay.
ticket. But
Can you
Go,
give me a
Jason.
refund for
Go,
that?
Jason.
Yeah. We're not getting up, Ole. I told you it wasn't going to be a pleasant conversation. These guys made sure to tell that guy not to let me up before I had a chance to speak to him. I don't think that was too nice. So, okay, unfortunately, all the people who have friendly who couldn't be here today aren't going to be able to make it up there. So, that's sad.
So
These
are you
guys
any climbing?
What's that?
Are
What's
you any
that?
good at climbing?
Driving to where?
No, climbing.
Oh, climbing. No, I'm not going to be climbing today. I'm going to have to go to the exterior of the
But-
building.
But Jason, let's
Yep.
do it like this. We just have to regroup here. Go to the memorial. We do this show here, and then maybe tomorrow, another day, we'll do it, and we go all the way up to the top when you get a permission to get up there. How about that?
We could try it. I don't think they're going to let me do that, though. But we'll go to the memorial for sure. So, I'm sorry, guys. That was, something I had planned and came here yesterday to test it out, and it worked, and now they won't let me do it.
It's really bad that they didn't tell you yesterday. I mean, we were all up there at the
We do
top.
have people who have come up in the past, but they've made reservations in the past. It'll come right back to the same car.
Okay, so that's a real disappointment. Obviously, this plastic is somehow a threat to the building. And we had security
Well, the
guards who had to come to
bring
the
it back
attention
down.
and tell this guy beforehand.
It's not shaped
to
like
throw
an
me out.
airplane, is it?
It's really bad, disgraceful. Not allowed. This is what it's become.
You just contact our marketing department.
Thanks
prior
very
to
much.
coming,
Have a nice
like
day.
everyone else.
Like everyone else, all these people with cell phones have contacted the marketing department, I'm sure. Okay, anyway. Very annoying. Sorry, guys. So, we'll go out to the memorial.
It is what it is.
Yeah. I can tell you that what's
I
downstairs
was
is
just going to say,
Yeah. You go, Ole.
come again, Jason?
You speak.
No, I was saying that I've got a theory about why there's no better step forward, and that is, if you remember, that was I'm not so well read on 9/11, so normally I don't talk about this case. I leave that to other people who are better at it. But inside Building 7, there was one black man who managed to get out. I think his name was Brad Jennings or something like that. And he said that when he was trying to get out of the building, it was all dark, and he was crawling across all of these dead bodies on his way out. So I would think that there is a possibility. I really think that Building 7 was where the headquarters of this whole operation, where the whole thing was controlled from. And if so, in the old days, it's like when pirates had robbed a ship and so on, plundered a ship. Very often the captain took two of them with him to some deserted island. And then he got the two pirates to dig a big hole the size of a grave, throw down the treasure, and then boom, boom, he shot the two that dug the hole, buried them with the treasure. And here, how do you think about the possibility of taking the whole team that were part of destroying the buildings, that were adapting everything, all the technology inside it, get them into 7 where everything was controlled from, and then some hours later, maybe like celebrating the whole thing or whatever, and then they just kill them all in one go with gas or and then boom, the building went down on top of them all, and but your uncle, case closed. You will never find out anything. That's just a theory on mine.
No, I think it makes sense. I think Cody could speak to that. The memorial is closed as well. So, basically a bust. Cody, what do
How
you
can
think
the
about...
memorial be closed today?
Well, I think if it's only for family and stuff. The memorial today. Cody, what do you think about Ole's theory?
Cody,
It makes sense. Can you hear us, Cody?
Yeah, it certainly explains, it provides a theoretical framework for that. It's real hard to know. It's real hard to talk about people stepping forward when we don't actually know the mechanics of what actually happened. They had to have black ops teams in there. They had to have explosives experts. They had to have people who knew what they were doing, and they had to have a lot of them. Pre-wire those buildings, the size of the buildings, and then building 7 separately. It had to be a big coordinated effort. And when you have a black op, the more people you get involved in it, the more it has to be compartmentalized. You might have one person or one crew bring in the explosives. Then you have a separate compartmental group come in later and place them. And you keep it all separate. You keep the wiring separate. And it's controlled up at the top like a pyramid. And that's how you have to do a black op like this to protect not only people who are running it, the principles of the op, minimize blowback. And when you compartmentalize an op, it also makes it easier to clean up on the back end. It's hours up.
You know, Cody, so many people have said to me about any of these types of things, whether it's 9/11 or the JFK assassination, that the very notion that it would be a conspiracy of multiple individuals is implausible because too many people would know about it and somebody would talk. But it strikes me that that's flawed logic, because if that were correct, no clandestine operation whatsoever could take place if more than one person were involved. Is it just compartmentalization and murdering of the operatives that handles all that?
No. When they're going to do an operation like this, this is going to be a big one. It's going to pull a lot of exposure. There's going to be a lot of media, a lot of witnesses. They can control the narrative in the media, but one of the things they do on a big operation like this is pick their subordinates. They go through all the files of their most trusted guys, the guys that have been on operations all around the world. Like some of the drug operations in Afghanistan or the triad heroin over in Laos and Cambodia. These are people that are seasoned operatives that have a lot of experience and they have a lot of ties, and then they'll usually have something they can blackmail you with. They have a way to control their subordinates. That's one of the key things in running an op. And evidently, whoever they pick for this, some of them may have been foreign nationals, like Israeli Mossad agents or military cutouts from other countries, like SAS operatives.
Right.
You have to have people, that you can control if something goes sideways.
Excuse me, Cody. Gentlemen, are you with the Army or?
We're in the Marine Corps.
Marine Corps. Can I speak to you for a moment?
Who are you with?
I'm just my own person. I've got a website called Crowdsource the Truth.
Okay, thanks a lot. Have a good day.
Not interested?
Not today, thank you.
Marines not interested in speaking to me on 9/11. Interesting. So why do Americans not feel comfortable about the military and the police and the authorities? I mean, this is all cordoned off over here. I can't get anywhere here. This whole thing is closed. I mean, this is ridiculous. What? Can I? Where am I allowed to go?
You're allowed to go there for like 5 minutes and then come back.
5 minutes.
Well, take a picture if you want.
How do I get?
No, right here.
Just
Of course,
from here?
yeah. Because it's closed until 3 o'clock.
3 o'clock. Okay. So yesterday they told me it was closed until noon, and then they told me I could come back at 12, and it didn't open until 12:30. They don't seem very organized here, but whatever. Sorry, Cody, you were saying?
I was just talking about the mechanics of running a false flag, a black operation of this type, and picking the personnel to do it and actually carry it out it would be one of their key elements. They would have the files on people for years and years. Some of them may be retired military guys that had 20 plus years in, and they could control them with their pension. They can control them with national security agreements, and also, of course, death threats and so forth. If they pick their personnel right, it makes the job of cleaning it up and keeping the blowback down to a minimum.
Right. And now you just mentioned Israeli Mossad. That's really interesting because people, mostly on the internet, have spoken quite a bit about these dancing Israelis. And it seems that those guys were tied to Mossad, but somehow it seems the people on the internet that want hatred like to say that, 5 guys who are from Israel that get captured translates to Israel and the Jews did 9/11, which is a bit of a would seem. What do you think about that?
Can I say something there?
Sure.
I would say if somebody thinks that a couple of people can do an operation, it's an absolute joke. So whatever these Israelis did, it was not, the big thing was not on them. There might have been pre-knowledge and so on, and of course there's a lot of ties into Israel and Mossad connected to this whole thing. But would they be able to control investigation? Would they be able to control media? Would they be able to control NIST? Would they be able to control so many different things? They would not. This is from the inside controlled. Whoever carried it out is one thing, but the controlling octopus that is behind the scenes, controlling the whole thing, that is what we have to look at. And that is where it is, but I would say it's the same force as behind the New World Order. Exactly that. And so I think it's very important to look up from the pavement, up from the street level, see it from a higher point of view. Who would be able to pull a thing like this off? Then you will get your answers. And that is also why we're not allowed to ask questions, criticize, and why people feel very uncomfortable, like these soldiers. Why didn't they even want to talk about it? Because I would suggest they know something is wrong here, and it could cause problems.
Well, perhaps they just don't like crowdsource the truth, but I tend to agree with you, Ole. I mean, it seems preposterous to me that such a much smaller and less financially and militarily powerful country like Israel could control the United States versus what Cody is saying, that there are rogue elements within Mossad and Israel who are assets of this larger group that you're talking about.
Yeah, if you have an operation of this size and scope, it's going to have to be highly compartmentalized, okay? That's how you can look from the top down. In other words, the people, where are you going to get nanothermite? Where are you going to buy that? At Walmart or something? You have to have military people or people in the intelligence world that procure it, and then the other explosives. Then that's separate. They may not know what it's going to be used for, okay? They just deliver it to a spot. Then the other people take it, and then they put it somewhere in the building or whatever, and then they leave. And there's another level of compartmentalization where the guys come in and wire it and hook up the computer demolition equipment. Because if you look at building number 7, they had to have demolition equipment and computers running that, because there's no way to make it fall symmetrically straight down like it did. Those charges have to be separated by, like very small increments of time, okay, to allow for the pancaking and the free fall and all that. So then you have to have a separate compartmentalization for the planes and the people that did the avionics on the operation. And they don't know who the people were that were moving the explosives, for instance.
Right.
So they could have got these operators from various countries around the world, just like Saudi Arabian guys. There may have been some Mossad agents involved in procuring the explosives. So there was no trace back to the American military, for instance. But the point I'm trying to make is, the bigger the operation, the more globalization you have to minimize blowback in the future in case something goes sideways with the operator.
Right, and thanks.
That's just a standard rule in Black Ops. Yeah.
And this has got to be the most heavily coordinated black op ever executed anywhere, right?
Well, I don't know. I can't speak to that, but what I can speak to is a, you know, in the Murrah building, that was a smaller operation, but the template was the same. You know, problem, reaction, solution, destruction of records. You know, you have to cover it up. It's in a domestic civilian environment. It's not some ship out on the ocean where there's no witnesses. You know, you're going to pull a lot of exposure on this operation, and the bigger it is, the more compartmentalized it has to be, and that's how you can keep your people in line. Because even if they do step forward to talk, it's easier to silence them later.
Right. Well,
But do you remember the Manhattan Project?
Yes.
That the group that in Los Alamos, Mexico, that constructed the first American, where there's none of them. So that's separation as well. And I also want to point out, anyone interested in connections to Israel when it comes to this thing, I think my friend Chris Bolin has done an incredible job pointing out very, very, very important connections to that nations, and also how it works in the background and so on. So I would say it's a combination. This is not done by one nation. We're looking at this new world order thing where there's a lot of background.
yeah, because I'm trying to mute it when you guys are talking. Can you hear me, Ole?
Yeah, I can.
We've got
Yeah,
some
I can
challenges
hear
here,
you.
the network and the sound quality and everything. I'm just trying to. You were telling us about your friend who's done research into Israel's involvement and how it's a multinational New World Order operation. Please carry on.
No, it's not just a friend of mine. He's an incredible researcher. His name is Christopher Bolin, and he has made and exposed incredible connections about behind the scenes of this 9/11 thing. So anyone interested, have a look at his work. I would also suggest check out Judy Wood's book, which I find amazing. I'm not a scientist, but as far as I can see, what she's pointing out is just amazing. She's not pointing fingers anywhere at who did it, but she's suggesting technologies that could be used, and I think very, very important to look into that as well. And also, I want to address this whole thing about how crazy it is that just to mention someone's name like Wood, there's this partition of the whole in this whole mass of people who are interested in this case, and you sort of gets divided into two groups that can't agree on anything. I think, why don't we just try and learn from each other and just see it's a massive big puzzle, and there's pieces from right, left, and center. We're all trying to figure it out and get the pieces in place. So let's use the knowledge from each other and the experience. Just like Cody and I are playing ball here. I have no idea about some of the things he says. He has no idea about some of the things I say. But he's got an amazing knowledge in certain areas where I know nothing, and I know stuff that he's not aware of. So this is the way forward, I think. You know, let's join and help each other.
I agree with what you're saying there, Ole. I think there's been a major kind of a, well, it's also reminiscent of the JFK assassination. Of course, there's the classic debate of, was it the mafia, was it the CIA, was it Cuban exiles? But as time has gone on, it would seem that it's a combination of all of those things. And I had a really good conversation with Anthony Patch last night, who's done a lot of work with Dr. Judy Wood. I must admit, I'm not terribly familiar with the doctor's work, and I'm going to be looking into it more. But obviously, she's talking about directed energy weapons. And some things, when you sort of just say them in a general sense, they're very difficult for people to understand and contemplate how they might work or what is even being proposed without some background And I agree with you, Ole. Yesterday you said that they absolutely could not fail on this, and they had to pull out all the stops and use every technology available. And I thought about the 1993 bombing of the World Trade Center, which of course was unsuccessful in destroying the buildings. So perhaps the perpetrators, as you've suggested, were so desperate to not only destroy the building, but any evidence as to how the plan was carried out, that they did use all these different things, planes hitting it, thermite inside it, time charges that are controlled by computer to pancake the building, dustification of the concrete through some sort of energy weapon that we're not familiar with. And the thing that struck me as very interesting is that using the directed energy weapon doesn't require there to be holograms hitting the building. My only real issue with the holograms were there's no conceptual technology that could do what they were saying. I thought a lot about what Cody told us yesterday about a projected image of Allah. And while I still don't understand that technology, I'd like to. And I still would say it seemed like you were describing a still image in a localized area seen by a small group, which is vastly different than moving plane, moving over several thousand feet, reflecting light, which we've seen in videos, observed by many, many people from multiple different angles. And I do personally know people who witnessed the building get hit by a plane. So, I don't know. There's still so many mysteries about this.
Yeah. No, it's this and JFK. I mean, it's a massive mystery, multi-layered. There's so many different operations going on at the same time, so many drills, so many different teams involved. They're all designed to create confusion as well. And I wouldn't say that they were desperate. I would say that they're very professional. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been able to pull it off. So this was made like this, prepared for years, I would suggest, with all types of technology, whatever they had, the best of the best technology, the best, you name it, were brought in to do this. And just like JFK, the JFK was called a big event, I would say this is a similar one, like the ultimate false flag. And so this is time to pull it off. They used, I believe, everything they had.
I think you're right. Well, I'm sad we weren't able to get up there, gentlemen. It certainly is an impressive observation deck. We can talk a bit about it, Ole. You're no longer able to go to the exterior of the building. In the original World Trade Center that was destroyed in 2001, guests could actually go to, stand on the roof. You may remember that meme of some guy who is supposedly standing there while the planes were flying right towards the building. Of course, that was shown to be a forgery. That was another thing that occurred to me while I was watching the September Clues video. The guy is making certain claims that I'm not sure are accurate as far as when these videos were brought to the public attention, and I still don't buy it. The things that he was saying were visual effects, I think could be attributed to other phenomenon. He was pointing out mask lines and things that looked to me like they could be artifacts of consumer video cameras, compression, sharpening, things like that. It's starting to rain, guys, and I don't know, this stream didn't exactly work out the way I wanted it to. What else would we like to say?
Is it?
It's not. It's actually quite rainy all of a sudden. I think we might have to... Yes?
Jason, I would very much like to just, before we end, since the two of us were up on the top yesterday, and we were talking about this circular thing that is on top of the building, very suspicious looking. Also, as part of the thumbnail that was used for this video before it, and you spoke to a guide up there on the top of the floor and asking him about this whole thing. Could you tell us once again what was it he said to you?
Well-
that was a lot of BS in a
Yes.
very beautiful package, totally avoiding your questions.
Yes, I agree with you, Ole. So it was speculated that that thing on the roof of the building might be a synchrotron, a particle accelerator. And I asked the guy about it, and it's such an unusual item that I would expect that most people have probably even heard of it or have any idea what a particle collider is or why I would assume it would be there. And I wish we had recorded it yesterday, because then we could have just run it today. But yeah, he went on and on saying that it was a decorative portion of the building that was used to raise the height to 1,776 feet. You know, the tower's been dubbed the Freedom Tower. So they wanted it to be 1,776 feet tall to, you know, for 1776, the year of independence. But that really was not a sensible answer, because it seems to be more the radio antenna, the spire that's sticking up that creates that height. And I asked Anthony Patch about this yesterday, if it could be a synchrotron up there, and he said that it was unlikely because it would require such heavy, powerful electromagnets that putting it on the top of a building would put a moment of, you know, from a physics standpoint, it would make the building sway a lot, and it wouldn't be making any sense. But after the conversation with the security guard in the observation deck yesterday, and after the conversation with Anthony Patch, I began thinking to myself, if a quantum computer has a synchrotron in it, it's the size of a room. We saw one at the Consumer Electronics Show. Why couldn't one be on the top of the building? I don't know. It still remains a mystery. No one knows what that is.
But it was also, he totally avoided answering you. I think I was just sideline listening to it, and it just felt like he was, I don't think he knew himself what that was. So I feel that he was instructed just to divert the attention away from it. But then we had this circular thing with the screens that was called the bus, that had more or less the exact same shape like that. Could you tell us about that one?
Yes, you're right, exactly. I'm glad you're reminding me. We lost the connection to Skype, so let me re-add that for him here, and we'll get you guys back on. So, right, what Ole is talking about is that yesterday, when I went up there, in addition to having this very bizarre thing on the roof, there was a similar circular themed display right in the middle of the place. And it just struck me as very odd. It's one of those things where they're taunting us almost, Ole, where they have the item right there in plain sight. You've spoken about karma, and they decorate their buildings and their monuments with items that are very reminiscent of their technology, their symbology, etc. So I think I've taken a picture of that item. Let me check my phone here and see if I have a photo of it, and then we can bring it up for everybody to see. It was this very conspicuous circular item, and maybe I forgot to take a picture of it. Wow, that's too bad. I don't seem to have a picture of it here, or it might have been on a different phone.
It was called the Buzz.
The Buzz,
which I
right.
think is an interesting name.
Yeah, it was a big donut in the middle of the room with TVs all over it, and I thought that was weird given the ring on the roof, and we don't know what the significance of this thing is. Cody, do you have enough familiarity with particle accelerators to offer us some idea of what having one on the top of the building might do?
No, not in a weapons configuration. You know, the CERN particle accelerator is big, and its size, you have electromagnets that pulse, and it pushes the particle in their magnetic fields and gets them up close to the speed of light so that they can make collisions and find out more about the subatomic structures of reality. But up there on that small scale on that building, I tend to believe that that's not a particle accelerator. It has something to do with electromagnetics. It may be some type of antenna system or a 5G component, to help boost signal across the whole city. Once the 5G smaller packages are installed, it may have something to do with a telecom situation. But to have a particle accelerator up on top of a building with civilians in it would be extremely dangerous. What about lightning strikes? I mean, if a lightning strike hit a particle accelerator with all the energy in it, it would be a disaster.
Right.
I tend to not think that's what it is. It's probably some kind of electromagnetic situation, possibly telecom, possibly related to 5G.
Wow. That's interesting in and of itself.
Speculation.
Right. Well, I'll tell you this.
Right.
When I was here yesterday with Ole, I was testing both AT&T and Verizon. And the Verizon phone was reporting 60 megabits per second, which is incredibly high performance for a cell phone data network and substantially higher than I've observed on the phone in almost any location in the United States. The only other time I've seen cellular network performance like that was when Quinn Michaels and I were in the desert in Nevada, and Quinn had these very unusual looking electrical power towers, these V-shaped, ohm-shaped towers, and the only other place we saw those towers was at Fermi Labs in Chicago. So it's strange, and that's interesting that you say that the thing on the top of the building here might have something to do with telecom or electromagnetism. I wonder if we'll ever know.
It's hard to say until that, if it's weaponized in some way, then we'll know, when they use it potentially. But it's hard to say. I'm just speculating here. I saw the big cooling fans on the top, which would, they're trying to cool something, and when you have large amounts of electrical power, it could be used for a particle accelerator, could be used for telecom, could be used for weapons, could be used for a lot of things, or it could just be air conditioning too.
Right. Well, to step away,
it's hard to speculate about it. It could be many different things.
Right. To step away from the slightly more fantastic possibilities, I will reiterate what Ole said. The performance of the elevator was astounding. It was maybe 10 to 15 seconds to travel. How's it going?
Oh, yeah.
People are fascinated by this contraption.
I am so fascinated by it. How many are those?
That's three.
Phones?
Yeah. The elevator moved so quickly that it would seem likely to me that it's a unique design specific to the building that would probably require additional cooling, because there are motors and things that must run it that would probably get very hot. So, I don't know. I'd like to know more about that weird disc on the top of the building.
They could have put that up there just for something for FEMA or Homeland Security in case there's a national emergency of some kind. They could have that as some kind of broadcasting tower as well.
Maybe.
So it may be a dual use system, but whatever it is, it's a strange design, and
Yes.
I don't know what it is.
I agree.
I just emailed you 2 images of the bus on your normal email, Jason.
Okay.
I couldn't add it here.
No problem. Let me get that. Oh, of the thing inside, the donut inside?
Yeah.
I see it. The buzz, yes. Okay. I can show this to people here. Let's see. How do I do that? Okay, so we want to...
I think it's an interesting name as well, the bus, because it has nothing to do with the bus. You couldn't even touch it. There was no sound.
Right.
Remember, you went and tried to see if it was like touchscreen or anything, but you couldn't. So why is it called a bus? I don't know. It's just interesting, I think.
Yep. Okay, so we're going to add that right now. That sounded terrible. So, okay, people can see this item right now. Unfortunately, Ole and Cody aren't going to be able to see it, but this is the item that's up there in the observatory, and it's quite clearly a disc. And it just immediately reminded me of the disc on the roof. So that was pretty interesting. And then, I don't know if you guys can see this fountain. It's kind of like a balloon animal or something. That's a weird sculpture. What do you think about that, Ole?
I can only see Cody, but I'm not complaining. He could do with a bit of cutting off beard.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I guess it's because I have both of you on Skype. Normally, when we do these remote Skype things, the person on Skype can see what I'm seeing. There's an object d'art right here, and of course we've got a federal office building. There's interesting buildings all around here. It still remains under construction 17 years later, and they're vigilant about protecting the building from DJI cell phone stabilizers. Obviously a danger to the people and the structure of the building. Well, gentlemen, we've been going for about an hour. Is there anything else you think we should?
I would like to just
say I'm sorry for everyone who's been expecting to get to the top of this building. We did too, but I applaud you, Jason, for trying more than once. But I mean, what can you do?
Yeah. Sorry, guys. Cody?
No, I just wanted to say thank you both for everything. Thank you for trying what you're doing today, Jason. And I want to send my condolences to the families of all the people that were involved in this tragedy 17 years ago.
Absolutely.
And I'm hoping that some future whistleblower or some future break for forensic evidence, maybe some unreleased pictures or unreleased video like the Zapruder film, that we all saw in the Kennedy situation. We're hoping that something will break in the future, make some files be declassified, see some satellite pictures or something that'll help give us a better picture of like what Ole said. This is a multiply nested, big, deep thing like a layers of an onion. It's not one simple answer to get to the bottom of this. So I'm just send my condolences to the people involved there and hope that in the future we can find some more evidence to shed light on this very dark, horrible event.
And also, we mustn't forget big things in other countries as well. I mean, all of these aren't just things that are built this fake, false like fake, innocent countries. I mean, that's just as horrible, and there's so many thousands, and every single individual we see as dead, you have a family around with all of the trauma, all of the sorrow, all of the. It's just on a level that is unreal. So our heart goes.
Exactly. Well said, Ole and Cody. And I do want to clarify that when I refer to September 11th as the most horrendous event in human history and that type of thing, I'm not just talking about the loss of life in the building and the loss of life of Americans. I'm talking about the wars that have been started as a result of this horrible event, and the people, as Ole just pointed out, in foreign countries that are now suffering as a result, and the servicemen and women from the United States who have been put in harm's way as a result of what we now see as really futile wars that have gone on and achieved nothing but more destruction. It's really, I hope we can somehow get to a place someday where some of this starts to make sense. I want to thank both of you guys for joining me and taking your time today. I do apologize that we weren't able to get to the top of the building. I realized what the difference was. Because I arrived here late and I wanted to start the stream exactly at 12:30, I had this equipment all built up while I was in the line. Yesterday, I just pushed it through in the bag and it before I went into the elevator. So I guess, well, also those security guys were not there. It was just a kid in a t-shirt yesterday. But whatever, we'll know for the future. I do want to remind people that Ole and Cody are busily creating tons of content, and people can see that on lightonconspiracies.com. You can support their work there, and you can purchase Cody's book, Choosing the Light. You're going to learn about compartmentalized operations and some of the secrets of the Oklahoma City bombing. You can also follow Ole's work and make a contribution to support him financially. And don't forget to join Ole's Patreon page. Of course, every Monday at 11 a.m. Eastern, we have a new show that's available only on Patreon, and that is Light On Conspiracies with Ole Dammegard. You're going to get exclusive access to that stream there on Patreon, and of course, people can also sponsor Crowdsource the Truth at patreon.com/crowdsource the truth, where you can watch Ole and I and Cody every Monday at 11 a.m. And once again, I want to thank you guys for joining me today on this very sad day. And perhaps next year there'll be a technological innovation that'll allow me to get up there with just one cell phone. All right, gentlemen.
Sounds good.
Have a pleasant afternoon.
All right, thanks
Thank
a lot,
you very
Jason.
much. Thanks, guys.
you.
And bye, Ole. See you, brother.
Thanks for watching, everybody.
Bye-bye.
I'll be back at 3 o'clock with Larry Nichols.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody.